I am sorry I'm so backlit at the moment.
Oh, it's
Here,
a podcast, not a vodcast. We're okay.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Almost angelic.
Your beard is just so commanding.
Yes.
I've had to keep clean shaven. I've been doing a lot of on-site work where
yeah. How's that going for you?
It's fine. I enjoy. Oh man, you know what you reminded me of just now? There was this Domo.
Oh yeah.
Domo commercial from, I don't know, maybe the late 80s or early 90s. And it was like it was painfully local because it was one of the Oilers. And I can't remember who for the life of me. But he pulls up to the pump and, Domo's full serve, right?
Right.
Self-serve
Domo. We'll jump to the pump for you.
But they had they had a promo going on where like you got a 2-liter bottle of pop with a fill up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, the service attendant like starts filling up his car, grabs a 2-liter of Coke, like just plops it into his mouth. And then the camera kind of cuts away and it shows, the bottle slowly emptying. But, they filmed it in a way that you can't actually see him in the car. But it like looks like, it's just hanging out of his mouth in the car. He's drinking it down as he's getting a fill. So, silly thing. But, so, welcome back to Scouting Stuff. It's been a hot minute since we recorded anything, except for some Scouting 5 stuff. I think I have to look at that. Well, anyways, you can hear Scouter calling at the other end of the internet. Hello, good sir.
Hello.
And I am Scouter Can, and we are connecting via Zoom this evening because our Discord bot died. And Zoom, though, has a fair, decent recording option. But, yeah. I was just looking it up. Our last episode was recorded on February 15th. We just missed all of March. I did get a couple of Scouting 5 episodes out, but we missed all of March.
Yeah.
March was insanely busy for me, though. I imagine likewise for you.
Yeah, I didn't miss that. I mean, I missed that we didn't do one, but I missed it for like the reasons of social, hanging out with you and having conversation as opposed to like, being like, hey, we need to publish something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not, you just get to show up and chat, which is awesome. I get both pressures. I'm just like, oh man, it has been so long since I've just sat and talked with Colin. And it has been so long since I've updated the website. Double crap.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. So, yes. Although, actually, one thing that I did find in the interim is there is a little place, a little sit-down spot not too far from here that might work as a recording venue. I stuck my nose in there on a Sunday afternoon, and it was not overly loud. So that might be a thing.
Is it worth trying?
Might be. Their hours are a little funny.
Yeah.
Because Google says they're open till 11. Their website says they're open till, quote, late, unquote. And sometimes
I imagine it has to do with the business that's coming in the door.
Exactly. Sometimes I've driven there past at 10 p.m. and they're shut. So yeah, it is what it is. But
although maybe we can convince the owners that we can we'll patronize them and they can provide us some space for recording.
They seem all right. They seem to have an all right happy hour menu at any rate. So kind of late evening stuff. So, but whatever. Whenever we get back to that, goodness.
Yeah.
Scheduling. Well, hey, you got any Easter plans?
I've taken down so I have to finish taking down a tree. That's kind of my
happy Easter.
That's my Easter plans. and doing my taxes.
Oh yeah, I'm behind on mine too.
So yes, I sort of have Easter plans, but they're not really like, yay, Easter plans.
Easter-y.
They're more like I have things that I need to do that I've been putting off, and now that I have a long weekend coming up, I should probably do some of them.
Yeah, Grace and I earmarked this coming Tuesday as a day to do our taxes on. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, get those done and out of the way. But we have, I think, pretty much all of her family coming over. So,
oh, nice.
Yes.
Well, that'll be good.
It will be. Her dad has per custom fitted me out with 3 different kinds of meat. Four different kinds of meat.
I have to tell you a story about meat in once you're done explaining your Easter plans.
So we're going to be cooking that in like 4 different ways because he gave us shrimp, so I'll probably just pan fry that.
Okay.
He gave us a huge beef roast, so I'm thinking I'll have to get up at like 3 a.m. and turn on the slow cooker for that one. He gave us turkey thighs, so I'll probably grill those, or I might bake those. And then he gave me a couple pork tenderloins, just small little things, and those I'm definitely grilling.
Yeah, I was gonna say throw even if you throw like the roast on the barbecue on a low heat and let that go for.
Yeah, it's one of those like large, like torso sized roasts though. So I could grill that, but that's
is it a prime rib or is it?
I think it's like a sirloin tip or like a sirloin thing, but I don't know. I haven't read the label. It's big. It's big.
I personally have had good success with grilling a roast. So
you know what?
High heat for a short period of time and then low heat for the rest of it. And
I have as well. But I have also eaten my wife's slow cooker roast. That is hard to top.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
I happened to be at the Legion on Saturday, and they were doing a meat draw. So for the listener who is not familiar with the Legion, the Royal Canadian Legion, and the what goes on in said building. I mean, the Legion is a facility that's for
it would be analogous to like it's
veterans and
it's like
club.
So if you're in like the BSA, imagine like a Loyal Order of Eagles hall, but specifically catering to veterans.
Yeah. So, but in order to fundraise, they do like 50-50 draws, and weekly they do meat draws. And way back in the day, a meat draw was you showed up, you put your name in a hat, they drew it, and if your name was drawn, you actually got meat. You got a roast, you got a turkey, you got a ham, or whatever, right? Like you were just given a hunk of meat. Yeah. It has since evolved. Pre-pandemic, they were doing grocery gift cards, is what they were. Is what they were handing out. So, but because it's Easter and it's post restrictions, anyways.
Yeah, post restrictions, if not post pandemic.
Yeah. Call it post restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually handing out turkeys and hams to people. So we, Cindy and I went down, and we were invited by a Legion member, and we went down and put you put in $20, and you have the potential to win, and they do that. That's $20 will get you 2 tickets, and there's 10 tickets. So
okay.
So 10 draws. Sorry,
you're right. 10 draws. Right.
So of those 10 draws, between Cindy and myself, we got 2 turkeys and a ham.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm a little impressed.
Yeah.
We used up all of our luck for the subsequent year. Like we'll never be able to go in there and win again.
Nah.
So, but we have Easter, we have Thanksgiving, and we have Christmas all planned out already.
Ah, nice. Yeah, you're set.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So of course our last episode was recorded before the events that happened in Ukraine.
Yes.
And it's tragic, but at the same time, it's kind of because you and I both have Ukrainian ancestry, and your surname seems a little bit more pure and unmodified versus mine. My dad told me the story of the various changes to our surname that led to it being what it is today, and what it was initially. But I keep seeing Melnick pop up as a name in like news feeds and stuff. This is that minister and general and whatever else. It's like, okay. But
the Ottawa Senators GM owner passed away. He was a Melnick.
Oh yeah.
No relation.
No. But I mean, Canada is like, if you look at like people of Ukrainian descent, obviously most of them live in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Second is Russia. Third is Canada.
I would believe that.
So I have been going through, I have a book upstairs called Traditional Ukrainian Cookery.
Nice.
Yes. And so as
butter and garlic.
Well, that, but lots of others.
And cabbage.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. Let me tell you, my goodness. So I've been my own little like Twitter protest, is I go through it periodically and I find like recipes, because it's not just recipes. The author was like a major Ukrainian booster and historian and women's advocate and all this stuff. So the book is like, it's got, each section is like prefaced by like an essay about, the importance of this and that and Ukrainian culture and whatever. It's awesome. So I've been going through it and I've been tweeting these out periodically. Today was, because it's, Palm Sunday and we're getting into Easter week. Today was the actual like Pascha bread recipe.
Right. How'd that turn out for you? Or
we haven't made it. We haven't made it yet. It's getting made later this week. I need to go buy more eggs first, because you need a boatload of eggs for making Pascha.
How many eggs does one need for that? Just out of curiosity.
So like the recipe that I put out today calls for 6 eggs, and we will typically make about 2 of those.
Oh yeah. So
you're at least a dozen eggs committed to this.
You're in it for a dozen.
Yeah. Plus any other baking you need to do during the week.
Yeah.
Plus any other eggs you want to eat during the week. So I'm thinking I got to go get at least a flat of 30. But it's fun. It's like, this is a fun time because like it's, some of it's being provided, right? Because like Grace's mom will make half of it. But like we've got, Ella made cabbage rolls the other day. They're in the freezer over here. Elena loves nalezniki, the crepes with the cottage cheese.
Yeah.
So she made a bunch of those like a week ago. They're in one freezer or another. It's fun times. This is another episode of cooking stuff.
Yeah,
discovering stuff.
Well, every time we haven't seen each other in a while, and we start by talking about food because
we're Ukrainian. We're Ukrainian.
Yes.
Like
yes. But
anyway, that said, it's getting a little later, so I wanted to keep this short, but I did want to. This is something I've highlighted 2 or 3 times now in Scouting 5. But I'm starting to see some news stories percolate up on Canadian news feeds. And it's actually something that my daughter's scout troop is going to be doing. Although I guess I should briefly, one more bit of banter, because we got to do in-person Cub cars again.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. It was good stuff. It was.
Hooray. That's fun.
We actually fixed up the track some. Got some new springs, so the launcher pegs are no longer purely manual. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And fun races. I got to admit, the competition has gotten fierce.
There's a level of intensity that's going on here, you might say.
Which is funny because like I'm on my 3rd kid through the Cub program now. Right? Elena's in Cubs now. Juliana and Ella have both moved up to Scouts. And so this is the 7th Cub car I've helped build, not counting my own. And like Ella's first year, all you needed to win was a little bit of weight and some graphite powder on the wheels, right? Because, nobody really knew what they were doing.
And a good alignment.
Yeah, although there is some physics to that as well. There's a few videos on the internet that talk about like having a rail rider. Steering, like deliberately steering into the rails. So I don't know. There's some debate there, but no longer in those intervening like 6-ish years since that first car, we've got a lot of Cubs who've come in and they build to win, and it is fierce competition. So, but it's great to see, right? Because like you get some of these cars that are just rockets.
Question. Mostly Cub built cars, or do you guys have the adult / leader category still?
We do actually do we do the Scouter cars separately.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we do the Scouter cars separately. Although this year there were only two of us that actually had time to build it. I was not one of them. It was actually a mother-son team, because both mom and son are Scouters for the Cubs.
Okay.
But even so, that was fun. That was a good time. And the Scout truck races are this Monday. So
nice.
Yes, those are always fun to watch go thundering down the track.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Scouts decided, normally we race the Scout trucks at 1.2 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the weight that I started building to. And then I had the temerity to ask the Scout leaders what they had actually set the weight limit at. And they're like, we're not sure. Came back, this year it's 9.7 grams or 907 grams. 907 grams. It's like, I got to lose like 300 grams of weight off this truck. What am I going to do? Oh boy. But it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have those in person again. We did them virtually last year and that was okay.
Yeah.
But not the same. Not the same. The energy and really intensity of the room is.
Yeah. You
You
need that dull roar and the cheers and all that.
Yeah. So, and that's been something that I've seen popping up in the news a little bit too. There's a few local newspapers that have, shouted out the return of the Cub Car Rally or the Beaver Buggy Rally or what have you. Yes. It's always a trick though, managing. There's a lot more expectation management that goes into it now, right? Because, you get Cubs who, we also do the design category. So you get Cubs who just like pour themselves into like the design side of things, right?
Yeah.
And some of the designs are just awesome, but then, it doesn't necessarily perform well on the track, right? And so there's like some heartbreak there. And it's like, you got to manage expectations a bit.
Yeah.
It's
cool
a race
design doesn't always equate to a fast car.
Yeah. If you build me a big fuzzy couch, I will applaud you forever for your detail, but that fuzziness is a lot of friction on the track. And I'm not surprised you didn't make it across the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you said couch, I remembered the time we lashed the couch to the canoe and sailed it
right. Sailed it across the lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Different story. Different
story. Still have the photos of that though. My goodness.
Yes.
Anyways, all banter aside, I did want to touch on I did want to kind of pluck that Ukraine thread a little bit because I have been nothing but impressed at the way that Scouts have, quick text. Okay. I've been nothing but impressed by the way that Scouts in some of the surrounding countries there have stepped up. And so I know I have linked this article in Scouting 5 before, but I'll link it again in the show notes today. It's at scout.org, so the World Organization's official webpage. And it's sort of the ongoing emergency response in Ukraine. Just sort of a summary of things that have been done. So, I mean, obviously the war in Ukraine has created a massive refugee crisis. And many of those have crossed into Poland, for example. And Scouts have been right on the ground there, assisting, Polish authorities at intake centers, welcoming refugees, helping to coordinate arrivals at the border. Those that have Scout halls have been able to convert those into temporary shelter, setting up cots and preparing other help for those that, need a place to stay temporarily. And of course, groups have been collecting supplies, food, clothes, blankets, hygiene products, medicines. In what else has been happening? Czech Scouts, because of course, another country bordering Ukraine. Again, lots of supplies collection, and not just supplies collected from within Scout groups, but also organizing donation drives in communities to collect needed supplies. Again, that food, clothes, blankets, hygiene products, medicines. And, they've been working directly with Ukrainian partners to, focus their donation drives on exactly the things that are most needed. In Romania, another country that has seen a huge intake of refugees, Romanian scouts have been coordinating things like finding housing, finding transport, as well as, goods, equipment, and aid. And then also just lending assistance, volunteering with other aid organizations in communities to help people do what they can. Similar efforts in Hungary, Estonia, Slovakia, Lithuania, lots of, again, donation drives, working with regional support centers to just find people a place to stay if they need it. So, and then just the other day, I noticed that there was a news article on scouts.ca where this was a Guelph venturer crew, I think, that organized a donation drive, and they basically collected 300 sleeping bags, and those were sent over to Poland to, be used to help Ukrainian refugees have something warm to sleep in for a night or two before they're sent on to more permanent housing. And this was organized by one venturer in particular, a service project that was put on by, again, a venturer out of Guelph, Ontario. And he actually has an ambitious goal of about 5,000 sleeping bags in total. So I'll make sure to include that article as well in the show notes. Because, that's a monumental effort and certainly something that's worthwhile to support. But, and then of course, beyond that, there is actually, so scout.org, the World Organization of the Scouting Movement's webpage, actually has a Kickstarter-like functionality. It's just called donate.scout.org. And so Scout, within certain guidelines and certain limitations, scout groups can set up, or scout organizations can set up donation drives to fundraise for various causes. And one of them is, of course, funding for the relief effort in the Ukraine. But I just wanted to, because I know that Ella's scout group on Wednesday is kind of having a chill day. Ella and Juliana get 2 scout meetings this coming week. They get the scout races, they get the scout truck races on Monday, and then they normally meet on Wednesday evenings. And so the Wednesday evening meeting is kind of as if you didn't go racing on Monday, we're just going to have sort of a downbeat, chill meeting. But I think some of what they're doing is about Ukraine. And so I thought maybe, just because another thing I've been really struck by doing the Scouting 5 episodes recently is just how there was one episode in particular. I want to say it was the first one that I published in March. I could be misremembering, but there were 2 or 3 stories about scouts in Africa doing really cool stuff to help out remote communities in their countries, like building hand washing stations in these remote villages and then showing the people there how to maintain them, things like that. And then, you have a story out of England about how you have some Sea Scouts celebrating their 100th anniversary and yachting and things like that. And it's this is a real juxtaposition, we here are, or even next week, the Cubs are going on a big long hike, and there's nothing wrong with going on a big long hike. I'm not saying that there is. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going on a big long hike or a camp or any of those things, or doing Cub car races. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. Those are all awesome things to do. And you should definitely be doing those with your Cub Scouts and your Scouts if you're not doing them. Better than playing dodgeball all the time. But it always strikes me now doing these Scouting 5 episodes, how, the stuff that Scouts here in North America, in most of Europe are getting up to is very different than what Scouts in other parts of the world are getting up to, where they are getting out into these remote communities and, bringing basic sanitation, or they're pitching in and helping out with hurricane response or tsunami or typhoon relief efforts, things like that. It's very, very different. And here's an opportunity, in a way, for Scouts in Canada, North America, Europe to chip in and help out in that other way, to really reach out and extend a measure of support for people in general, and also other Scouts. I mean, kudos to the Ukraine Scouts. I don't know if you remember, we did that little thing for the Scouts in Kiev. I really hope someday I can get back in touch with those kids, because man, I can't even imagine. But since the war began, scouts in Kiev, in Odessa, have been used for food and clothing collection and distribution, shoes, sleeping bag, like all the needful supplies. Scouts in Odessa have been organizing like online meetings for kids to help lift their spirits, to entertain them. It's, they're literally doing scouting in a war zone, and they're trying to help other people in their communities. And so I just wanted to maybe touch on some ways, if there are scout groups in Canada that are looking for ways to help out. Or not just even in Canada, right? Like, if you're a scout group anywhere, we have listeners in many, many countries, ways that you can help out. So now, obviously, monetary contributions are an opportunity to, or are a way to help out. And there's, you can do different things with that, right? Like, I mean, you don't just have to empty out your own pockets, right? Like if you want to do fundraising drives and then all the proceeds get donated to the World Organization's fundraising page, just looking at it here now, and again, the link will be in the show notes, it's raised about $417,000 so far, has a goal of 500,000 and 30 odd days remaining in the campaign. So, you could do like a localized fundraising drive. Proceeds could be then donated. Scout.org does note, please do not go to the border on your own, because places that are along the border, so if you're listening in Europe, please don't go to the border of Ukraine just on your own initiative, mostly because the organizations that are already like at those points have people. They don't necessarily need more people. Border areas there's a lot of tension there, and volunteers who aren't there specifically for that purpose and on mission can actually cause more challenges than they solve. So, if you are listening in Europe right now and you want to help, going to the border is not necessarily how to help. But skipping past financial donations and skipping past just walking to the border and saying, what can I do? Or, like to a refugee center and saying, what can I do? One thing, of course, that's come up again and again in the news is that idea of donating supplies. Because in these sorts of humanitarian crises, they need everything. They really do. One thing I remember, and this is a few years ago, this is during the Syrian crisis. One of my coworkers, and I was mentoring him in cybersecurity at the time, was himself a Syrian. And so, I was getting a lot of news about that and the refugee crisis that it created. And one thing that I remember quite distinctly from all of that news was that one thing that a lot of refugees ran short on was dental stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of anything is important, right? People need food. People need something to, people need clothes. People need something to sleep in. They need all of these things, especially if they've literally just bugged out of home with the clothes on their back, or whatever was in their car at the time. And so any of those things is great. Like the venturer doing the sleeping bag drive, good on him, definitely. But I remember that specifically. So one idea I might throw out there is doing like a toothbrush drive or a toothbrush and toothpaste drive, because that's something that people run out of, and dental health can fall off real fast when you don't have that stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
So, sleeping bags, clothing. We are starting now to see Ukrainian refugees come to Canada. And actually, this reminds me, I have to send an email tomorrow about this to council, I guess. There are local organizations that are working to bring refugees here and find them places to stay, work, things like that. So, if you wanted to, you could also reach out to them and say, hey, like, what do you need? What do they need?
What are some resources that would help you help them?
Yeah, exactly. And you'll find the answers probably like varied, right? Because these are people who've literally left their entire lives behind, hopped on a plane and come to Canada hoping for the best. There's literally nothing they don't need. They need clothes, they need food, they need furniture. They need everything.
That's right. Yeah, furniture is another thing too, right? Like, yeah, you're just picking up and going, and there's, just the clothes on your back and maybe a suitcase.
If you were lucky enough to have time, yeah, maybe you have a suitcase.
Yeah. All sorts of things.
It's weird.
But again, I feel like, approaching those organizations that are front line and then asking how you can help them would probably be the most useful way of assisting.
It is. In humanitarian crises like these, there are organizations that take front and center, whether that's Red Cross. I know there's a handful of different groups in and around the Edmonton area that have really stepped up and kind of come to the fore and are doing most of the coordination work. So contact your council or maybe your National Scout organization if you need to, or just do a little bit of research in your area and figure out who those organizations are. It's going to change from area to area.
Yep.
So I can't really give concrete specifics. Red Cross is usually fairly reliable as, they're probably involved here somehow. But, again, whichever the organizations are in your area, reaching out to them and working with them, being like, okay, what do you need? Like, how can we help? What can we do? What do you need? There was something else that crossed my mind there. Oh, right. And this is a little bit more esoteric, and this is a little bit more, nothing may come of it. But this is another email I have to send tomorrow, which is basically like, of the 200 or 300 Ukrainian refugees that have come to the Edmonton area so far, were any of them involved in scouting back home?
Mm-hmm.
Do they still want to be? Because maybe as scouters and scouts involved in scouting with scout groups, we could open our doors to them.
It might be worthwhile, right? Like, you've gone through a traumatic experience. Maybe it'll help to kind of ground you again and help move forward, or at least,
And I mean, it can be a means of finding community too, right?
Yeah, thank you. That was more of what I was going for. It's just like, show them that there are people here that are like-minded and you want that sense of community.
And I mean, I may have a little bit of rose-colored glasses because the 59th has been consistently quite awesome in this regard. But, there's just, you come to our group and there is just that sense of community, especially amongst the scouters. Like there's a solid group of people. And Greenfield's kind of special in that way too, I think, in some ways. But just, it is just sort of, a way to find people who kind of, like you say, have similar interests, do similar things. There's a bit of that commonality in cause, which is nice. And it can be a way to, actually just find some people, find a few friendly faces.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when you hop on a plane and you just up and go to another country, that's a lot.
That is a lot. I don't know. I don't know how people do it, but I guess it's the.
We're fortunate in that we've never been in that situation.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
Even have a choice, right?
Yeah. It's that lived experience, right? Like when you're forced to, you're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Like, well, I can stay in bombs or I can leave and not bombs. Hard choice. Not hard choice. It is hard choice. Very hard choice. But, at the same time, I mean, that is a lot of people have made. Many, 4 million now, maybe more. 10 million, I think. 10 million at least 10 million displaced.
I heard that number too.
Yeah, I think around 4 million have now left the country.
Yes.
That's 10% of the population there. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
The Syrian refugee crisis took months to even reach 1 million. And here we are 2 months in and we're already at 4 that have left the country. Like I can't even fathom that. But yeah, I mean, scout groups, in my experience of them, are one. And we did this a couple of years ago when Fort McMurray burned down. Right? Standing invite, like anybody who wants to come and hang out with another scout group, if you were involved in scouting up in Fort Mac, like you want to come into another scout group, come on down. I mean, we in the 59th didn't see anybody come over personally from Fort Mac. I don't know if any of the scout groups in the area did, but it was something that was, and I mean, granted, when you've just fled your home, whether because of fire or war or whatever else, getting back into scouting is not necessarily top of mind.
It may not be top on the list of things to do. Right. You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah. Just I need to find a scout group.
I just fled my country. What am I going to do? I'm going to find a scout group.
Yeah. It is definitely far, far from top of mind. But at the same time, like, I would submit that we as scout groups in these areas where these refugees are coming to should be willing to open our doors.
Yes.
And make it known that the door is open. Because you know what? Hey, I mean, that opportunity to just, even if there is a difference in how things are organized, even if there's a bit of a language barrier there, there's still a familiarity there. And,
that's right.
I speak from a little bit of experience in that regard because I have met with scouts from a bunch of different countries. I've gone to different countries and sought out scouts in those countries. And for as different as it always is, there is always something in common. And you can walk into that room and you're just like, yeah, okay. I don't know. That might just be me because this is such a central part of who I am as a person. But, it has been my experience meeting scouts from other countries, going to other countries and meeting scouts there on their home turf. It's like, okay, like we can roll with this. This is all right. And sometimes just having those other things can be, I mean, obviously my hope would be for everybody who's been displaced by this, that they end up back home, that they're able to return to what they know as home. And many of them probably will, maybe not all, but, while they are wherever they are for however long they are, the more they can find that is even at least a little bit familiar, I think the better, because that helps. It does a lot, right? Like it's the same as like going to church for me, right? Because, I can walk into a Catholic church literally anywhere in the world. And even if I don't speak the language, I can kind of figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
I can follow along. I know where I'm at. And there's something to that, is that even if you're far from home and you are totally not familiar with this place, its people, its customs, anything like that, to have something that you can walk into and be just like, oh, I recognize this, like that's huge. And it totally reframes everything, suddenly the entirely alien becomes a little more familiar and it's all right. Random thought. But so, those would be, like I say, shorter episode on content, but something that's kind of been percolating in my mind. It's just, how to help out in this circumstance. And I think, those are the big ones. There's different organizations, even depending where you are, like in Canada or in the US or wherever you're listening. There's different organizations that are going to be sort of taking point on this, reaching out to them or reaching out to your council or your NSO, get an answer and work through the official channels. Do not try to solo this because that will cause more chaos than good. Yeah. But, there are things that can be done, like collecting supplies. And like I say, dental stuff, even just toothbrushes and toothpaste. You want to do a toothbrush drive? Do a toothbrush drive. People will need it.
It's a consumable.
I can't even remember my toothbrush when I get on a plane and I have weeks to plan for the trip. You tell me I got 30 minutes to leave my home before the bombs start falling. I'm not remembering my toothbrush. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So like that is the thing that people are going to need, and dental health can fall off so fast. So like that is a huge thing. Or, stuff like, women's hygiene products, baby stuff,
just because the war started didn't mean that the world stopped turning too, right? Like, there were babies being born and surgeries being done and all sorts of things, right?
Yep. Yeah, life did not stop for any of that. And like those are things again, and some of that's just, me also, from the stuff we've done, like with the Cub Scouts and the food bank, right? Like, they're always short on baby stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, understandably, like that stuff's expensive,
Yeah. And also it's not like people are actively thinking about it when they're buying food or whatever to donate, right? They're just like,
yeah,
oh yeah, what does dry goods or whatever, that kind of thing. So
yep. Actually, I remember the food bank putting out a list some months ago, right, where it's like, yeah, like buying us tomato sauce is all well and good. Maybe send some noodles too. Just things like that, right? The things you don't necessarily think about, or like, yeah, cake mix isn't really useful unless you're also donating oil.
Yeah. Or craft dinner, because it needs milk or butter or whatever, right? Like, or margarine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? Like a lot of the, and there are things that, and again, that's why it's important, I think, to reach out to these organizations too, because they can tell you, it's like, okay, well, we have a glut of pasta. We don't need any more pasta.
Yeah. Enough of the pasta.
Yeah. But, we need this instead. So lots of reasons to reach out to the people in charge. But yeah, like, I always remember those things as sticking out in mind. It's like, stuff for babies, stuff for periods, stuff for teeth. Those are things that sometimes get missed, but the need for them never goes away.
No, agreed.
And, organizing those donation drives. I mean, if there's anybody out there who needs their CNE Award, Chief Scout Award, Queen's Venture Award, something service project,
Be a good time.
Yeah, be a good time to maybe put something like that together. Collect a bunch of stuff, send it in, keep collecting it, send more of it in.
Make it a reoccurring thing even.
Or you could, like build a bench, I suppose. But
I suppose.
Well, okay, and I guess I should explain that one because
context, please.
Yeah, that one.
I'm sure it's meaningful in some application, but
no, it's so. There was one of the Instagram accounts I follow is BSA memes, and one of the things they posted recently, and I'm probably gonna just completely quote this wrong, but like essentially they posted something a few weeks back where it's like, Eagle Scout has amazing idea for service project, but ends up building another bench for time considerations.
I get you. Okay. Yes. The context helped in that.
That tradition of the service project as a major advancement requirement is really, it is something that we have adopted now, but it's definitely, like it's much more, at least in the North American context, has definitely much more been a Scouts BSA side of thing. Right. And then, now we have added that to our own top award requirement set for all sections. But it wasn't always given as much emphasis. Whereas, the Eagle Scout project is, like that's a thing. It's a known thing. It has been a known thing for like decades. So, but yeah, I think BSA memes is just riffing on the fact that, and I mean, admittedly, I do actually see this a lot again in the news because, you do the right targeted Google searches and it's like, oh yeah, okay, hey look, another Eagle Scout built a park bench and kind of cleaned up the garden around it. And you know what, like that is awesome in its own way, right? Like it does benefit the community, definitely. But it is funny how that is a theme. I can actually see where the meme is riffing on there because I've seen enough news stories about this from this or that local paper. So there's the thing. It occurs to me that I have shout outs and I don't even have them written down. So I think I'm just going to have to apologize. And let me just see here. Maybe if I'm really lucky. Have any new ones here? Nope, not right now. Okay, which sucks because I know that I do have a couple that I need to give and they're just not in my head right now. So apologies to anybody who I have a backdated shout out owed to. I will get around to you as soon as I remember to update my darn list.
You're good for it. I swear.
Am I though? Every time I think that things are just, that I can get them under control.
I'll try and remind you the next time you and I talk and I'm like, I'll mention to get your shout out list together.
Yeah.
That way you can blame me if you don't have it for the next episode.
Yeah. The next time we sit down in person, we're literally going to have to like cover each other's tabs for like mutual birthday.
Yes, exactly.
Terrible. I hope you at least got to do something for yours, because that was recently too.
No. It fell flat because Cindy had COVID.
Oh, well, I hope she's doing better.
She is. Yeah, no.
Okay,
it ran its course. It was, just over a week. Well, it was 2 days of uncomfortableness, and then 5 days of general tiredness and coughing, and then it just kind of cleared up. So happy.
Yeah, vaccines, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's what I keep saying. So, but yeah, no, she's doing well. So I have, I'd like to do a makeup party at some point. So maybe May 2nd.
I think early May is good for me. Mid to late May may go sideways depending on Grace's health, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's when all the big diagnostics happen. Yeah, well, I mean, like obviously she's had her struggles for years. So in a way it's good to, actually now have a more concrete idea of what the reasons for those is. The path from here, we're not sure about yet. So
yeah,
but we'll know more.
To take it a day at a time and see what happens.
Literally, because some days she's just like today she was up and raring to go in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Well, today was weird anyways. Because like normally we try to go to church as a family.
Yeah.
It's Palm Sunday, so we kind of really want to go to church as a family.
Yeah.
We wound up not doing this for two reasons. One, Ella got invited to like a church youth group because one of the parishes around here is sort of rebuilding theirs after 2 years of dormancy.
Okay. Yep.
And so they have a grade 7 to grade 12 youth group that they've put together, and tonight was the first one. Cool. Ella was all on board to go for that. And the idea was that you went to like the 5 p.m. service, and then they would stay for, a talk and some adoration and dinner, and it was good. Right. And, everybody, all the kids were just dragging their butts out of bed this morning. Everyone was real tired. They were up late yesterday though. So that's probably why. And, initially it was just going to be like Ella going to the 5 p.m. and the rest of us are going to go to 9 a.m., which is our usual. And at some point I'm just like, why don't we just all go to 5 p.m.? And so most of us did, but Grace was like feeling really good in the morning. So that often doesn't translate to feeling really good in the evening. So she's like, well, you know what, I'll go now. And then like I can hold down the fort here at home while you all go. And so we did that, but whatever. It's like, flexible. I don't even know where I was going with this. I had a point and it's gone because my brain's just fried lately.
It is late. So,
it's late and like, just, I love what I do. And the work is like, it's good. I love it. But at the same time, just, it's so easy to get into this state of being just brain fried because we're juggling more. My team, what's left of it, is juggling so much more than it ever has per person, right? Because we just don't have bodies to spread the workload around to. And it's a lot to keep in your head. And then on top of that, you're trying to do scouts and maybe podcasts and also there's that whole like I have a family thing.
That thing.
Which so like it's been, March was a madhouse, man. I totally understand why I didn't get around to recording any episodes, because literally like it was just a madhouse. April's a little better, but only a little.
March marginally better.
March Madness.
Yeah, I guess. Did you want to do your shout out to the...
Oh, yeah. Yes. I guess I do have the obligatory and shout out to our friends at Scouting Radio. Thank you, as always, for rebroadcasting our episodes to their worldwide scouting audience. And, hey, if you are listening to us on Scouting Radio right now, as always, we are keen for you to let us know. Reach out, get in touch. We would, of course, love to hear from you.
Scouter Ken.
Yes, sir.
How does one get a hold of us?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
In the current climate.
Yeah, yes.
Such that it is.
So, I mean, obviously, A lot of people reach out via email, and that is still a great way to get in touch. scoutingstuffpodcast@gmail or outlook.com.
You're so old using email.
If I could stop you, there are times I've tried to kill email entirely for different things that I've been part of. It doesn't always work. People do not get it. I mean, our generation is kind of like, we're right in between, right? You know?
Yeah. It's everything, and it's also, we would like to have one thing.
Yeah. Anybody who's even a little bit older than us is just like, nope, I'll email you. It's fine.
Yeah.
And anybody who's even a little bit younger than us is just like, hey, look, all these great messaging apps.
Yeah, I'm gonna direct message you on or DM you on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm fine with both, and I prefer the latter. I definitely prefer the latter. But we're kind of in this weird little awkward moment in time where it's like, I can never quite quit email because I know enough people who are just a little bit older than me who only communicate by email. It's like having a landline phone, you know, same thing.
And carrying a cell phone.
Yeah. Right? It's like, this is $30 a month that I am getting nothing for.
But what happens if somebody needed to call the house? What?
Right?
Anyways.
Anyway.
Carry on. Sorry.
Carrying on. But yes, email is a thing. But if you're younger than, you know, that.
And more hip and with it.
Yeah. You have options. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have started posting things back to TikTok again because why the hell not? Pardon my language. Discord is, you know, another one. Although obviously the Discord server has been fairly quiet since we don't use it for recordings anymore. But I mean, I respond to messages on Discord. I'm always on one server or another on that service. I should reach out to the youth group coordinator about setting up a Discord. Another email I got to send tomorrow. Or, you know, you can also go to scoutingstuffpodcast.com and look for the microphone icon. It used to be blue. I think it's orange now. But at any rate, yeah, I think it actually takes its cues now from the page color scheme. So orange would be a color. But anyways, look for the microphone icon. Usually lives in the lower right-hand side of the screen. And you can use that to record us a voice message.
Ooh, which would be fun because we haven't had one of those in a while.
No, that would be awesome. And that's a way for you to get your voice in the podcast. And I don't even know if there's like a time limit on the voicemails with this service.
So you could monopolize the podcast by having your own podcast.
Yeah, feel free to test what the time limit might be if there is one. Dare you? Just come on. There's got to be like a rover out there who's like, oh, challenge accepted.
Pending content.
Yeah.
We'll publish it and call it our own.
There you go. Well, we'll credit you if you give us something to credit you as.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, please, voicemail. Awesome. Or again, reviews. Always welcome a review. You can do that in a few different places. Notably, of course, iTunes is the biggest one. You can also leave ratings now on Spotify or on Podchaser or just right on our website at scoutingstuffpodcast.com. It has its own review system built in. And actually also the Facebook page accepts reviews now that I think about it. So you got like 5 different options there. So feel free to drop us 5 stars or less than that, but why?
And if you have a good Ukrainian recipe, send it along too.
Oh yeah, totally. I will totally blast that out there. I think I might do Nalesniki tomorrow.
Sounds delightful.
Oh, they are. If you've never experienced them, you have, I'm sure.
I have, yes.
Yeah.
You don't get far with a name like Melnick and not have.
I used to be big on Petahe pierogies for those who. Yeah. And I mean, I still love them, but Petishke have completely stolen my heart.
Okay. Wow.
Buns and cream sauce. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Wear your stretchy pants. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
When eating Ukrainian food, wear your stretchy pants.
Have you heard the Carrie Underwood song?
No.
Oh, you got to look it up. You got to look it up. Play it for Cindy. You'll laugh.
Okay. What's it called?
Stretchy Pants.
Oh, Stretchy Pants? Oh, okay.
It's by Carrie Underwood.
Okay. Totally gonna do it.
Yeah. It is. I don't think she has a lick of Ukrainian in her, but it is a song for our people.
It is a little on the nose, is it?
Yeah,
or on
is,
point, I should say.
It is painfully on point.
Yeah.
It's good. I think Grace. I think it's set in the song is in the context of Thanksgiving dinner. I think that's when Grace found it actually, and we've kind of played it for all and sundry. But yeah, it's on point. So this has been country music. No.
Yeah. Country music stuff you should know.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, if your scout group is looking for ways to support Ukraine, a few ideas. Check the show notes. There'll be some links to stuff. And thank you out there for listening. And until next time, be prepared.